Three more NHL teams have officially punched their ticket into round two of the 2026 Stanley Cup playoffs. And obviously, you can tell from my background where my allegiance lies in the NHL, so this is not going to be an enjoyable video for me. Not only did my team get eliminated in the first round, but I've also been sick for the past 3 days now. So if the energy is a little bit lower in this video, I do apologize, but try to cut me some slack a little bit here, okay? I'm going through it this week. So let's start off by talking about the Anaheim Ducks defeating the Edmonton Oilers in 6 games. I'm sure a lot of people did pick Edmonton to win this series. I was never that sold on Edmonton this year. I never thought that they were this unbeatable juggernaut of a team like they were in years past. And maybe that has something to do with them going on the back to back Stanley Cup finals runs. That does take a toll on you. And obviously, Connor McDavid was not 100% healthy in this series. But even Connor McDavid said it himself that the team was just average all year. So, where Edmonton goes from here, I think obviously the first big one is addressing the goaltending situation. They thought they had an answer in shipping out Stuart Skinner and bringing in Tristan Jarry. Well, I could have told you as a Penguins fan that that was a bad move from day one. But I will gladly take it as a Penguins fan because that allowed Tristan Jarry's contract to come off of our books. No salary retained. Thank you very much, Mr. Dubas. So obviously, I think Tristan Jarry probably gets bought out at this point. I have a hard time believing you're going to make a trade with him. And as for who could possibly come in and be the new goaltender in Edmonton, I have no earthly idea. And not only did they ship out Stuart Skinner, but they also shipped out Brett Kulak, who was a key piece to that defensive core that we saw make back to back Stanley Cup Finals appearances. So that trade just got worse and worse and worse as the year went along. Tristan Jarry wasn't performing well in Edmonton. The defense wasn't performing well in Edmonton either. And I go back through the years and I take a look at some of the moves that have been made, and a lot of them are just kind of head scratchers. So I don't know what the plan is for Edmonton. I obviously, when you have Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, you have an opportunity to win, but you also have to support that pairing with other talent. And I just don't think that was there this year like it was in years past. But let's talk about the Anaheim Ducks, who, on the other side of things, saw their young superstars come out and shine. Obviously, Beckett Seneca had a phenomenal regular season as a rookie. He had a pretty good playoff run as well. I think Cutter Gauthier really opened everyone's eyes as to how good he could be. But the unsung hero of the first round, in my opinion, has to go to Jackson Lacombe. He did a phenomenal job playing against Connor McDavid, shutting McDavid down. Again, I know McDavid was injured, but still, you have to give credit where credit's due. We've seen McDavid be injured before and not miss a beat. And I know that Lacombe being added to the Team USA Olympic roster was a bit of a head scratcher for some. I don't think it should be after this series. He did a phenomenal job. So, what's next for Anaheim? Well, they obviously have to wait a little bit to see what is going to happen with the Vegas Golden Knights and the Utah Mammoth. And judging by what I saw in round one, they might be able to possibly get through round two as well. Because while Vegas is probably the better team, they haven't really looked all that fantastic in the playoffs so far. And Utah, on the other hand, is a very good team and has kind of shown that they are a good team, maybe not necessarily as good as a team like the Vegas Golden Knights are. So that matchup has me super interested in either series that it could end up being, whether it be Vegas, whether it be Utah. I'm excited to see some new blood in the Western Conference final, and I'm excited to see what that series could look like. Again, whether it is Anaheim Vegas or Anaheim Utah. Up next, we have the Minnesota Wild eliminating the Dallas Stars in 6 games. Now, this one does kind of hurt a little bit for me because, while yes, my main allegiance is to the Pittsburgh Penguins, I do follow the Dallas Stars. I've always kind of followed the Dallas Stars, and they also won the Stanley Cup the year I was born, so I've always kind of played into that a little bit too. So this video is really, really tough for me to make because I don't want to talk about my second favorite team. I don't want to talk about my favorite team being eliminated in the first round. And here we are. But Minnesota, what a team. Man, oh man. I mean, I knew that they were good. I watched them in the regular season a handful of times. I knew that they were good, but it seems like they cranked it up into another gear in the playoffs. And I just don't think Dallas was able to match that necessarily. I mean, pretty much the only way that Dallas was able to score was on the power play. And if you can't get 5-on-5 scoring in the playoffs, you might as well just not even be there. And look, we knew that this series was going to be good. We knew that it was going to be super tight. We knew that it was possibly going to go the distance. And I think Minnesota showed that they were just the better team in these playoffs. Jesper Wallstad played out of his mind and outplayed Jake Ottinger at points. Matt Boldy had a phenomenal first round and continues to shine in the National Hockey League and becoming a true superstar in this league. And for Dallas, it's tough because you fired Peter DeBoer last year. You brought in Glenn Gulletson, which I wasn't a big fan of that move personally from the beginning. Whether that played into it or not, I have no idea. But I also think that they were also dealing with some injuries. And look, Dallas, another team that has had these pretty long playoff runs, going to the conference final a couple years in a row now. And that eventually does catch up to you. It does. Whether it is going all the way to the Stanley Cup final or going just to the conference final, just those three series take so much out of you. And when you do it on a yearly basis almost, it's going to catch up to you. And I think it kind of caught up to the Stars here a little bit. Obviously, not having Rupe Hintz in their lineup clearly hurt them. He is such a difference maker out there, and they just play with such a different energy and pace when he is out there. I thought Wyatt Johnston looked good. I thought Jason Robertson looked okay. And speaking of Jason Robertson, heading into this offseason, the big topic of Dallas is going to be, what are they going to do with Jason Robertson? Are they going to try to re-sign him, or could we possibly see Jason Robertson traded somewhere in the offseason and maybe Dallas gets a massive mega haul for Jason Robertson? Kind of shuffling back to Minnesota. They've got Colorado coming up next. That series should be just as good than what we got in round one between Minnesota and Dallas. And I'm very curious to see just how those two teams are going to match up, because Minnesota can kind of play either way. They can play with speed, they can try to grind you down. Colorado, on the other hand, they're pretty much all speed. So that series is obviously going to be incredible to watch. Regardless of who comes out on top, it's going to be fun. It's going to be one heck of a series. And then that takes us to the one that I'm sure you're probably waiting for, the Philadelphia Flyers eliminating the Pittsburgh Penguins in 6 games. And truth be told, I don't even know where to start with this one. And before we get too far ahead in this segment here, I'm going to warn you, this is probably going to go on a little bit longer. Again, Penguins fan, I want to talk about my team and what lies ahead for them. But first, the Philadelphia Flyers. Credit to Philadelphia. They outplayed Pittsburgh. Pretty much that simple. At least they did. At least they outplayed them in games 1 and 2. And unfortunately, Pittsburgh just couldn't be able to take off games 1 and 2, and they just did. So Philly, obviously, they move on. They play Carolina. Good luck with that. I don't think you're going to win. I didn't think Pittsburgh was going to win had they have gotten out of round 1 either. So that's not just me being the Penguins fan wanting to root against the Flyers. I just think Carolina is the clear-cut better team than either Pittsburgh or Philly. I just think Carolina is just so relentless with that just pressure that they provide and that structure that they play in. It is such a difficult team to play against in the playoffs. And while Philly isn't necessarily this speed, skill, possessive team, they do still have some offensive talents like a Trevor Zegras, and I'm curious to see just how impactful he can be against Carolina. And I think it does come down to goaltending a little bit here, because if Freddie Anderson plays the way he did in round 1, it could be a very quick series. However, if the playoff struggles for Freddie Anderson start showing up again, they could go to Brandon Bussi, which obviously he had an incredible regular season as well. On the Philly side of things, you have Dan Vladar, who had kind of a mixed bag in the first round, where he had times where he was unbeatable and turned into prime Dominik Hasek, and then there were other times where it looked like he couldn't stop a beach ball. So, what kind of Dan Vladar are the Philadelphia Flyers going to get in round number 2? That is a story that is yet to be determined. But let's shift to the Pittsburgh Penguins. And where does Pittsburgh go in the offseason? Because there are a lot of questions that are on the table, obviously surrounding the big three: Crosby, Malkin, Letang. Malkin still not having a contract. Chris Letang, let's call a spade, not having the best of seasons. Sid, I think, is staying. I don't think there's a chance that he leaves, and people are probably going to start up the Crosby trade rumors again. I'm not going to buy it for a second. I think Sidney Crosby stays in Pittsburgh. Evgeny Malkin, I hope he comes back, because obviously it's Evgeny Malkin. He's one of my heroes, one of my favorite players of all time. Like, I don't want to see him retire, but on the other side of things, like, it does concern me that he doesn't have a contract yet. And bringing him back doesn't necessarily stop anybody from taking that spot, whether he plays on the wing like he did for some of this season or back at center, which is his normal position. You have the guys that are under contract, like Rickard Rakell, Brian Rust. In my opinion, Brian Rust needs to stay. I think he is your future captain once Sid retires, and I think he is the next best thing to Sid in terms of ushering in this new wave of talent, this new wave of Pittsburgh Penguins hockey. I think Brian Rust is kind of the bridge between that Crosby era and this new era. As for Rickard Rakell, if the deal is right, then take it. If it's not, then stay. At this point, it doesn't really matter. I know what position the Pittsburgh Penguins are in. I know what their plan is, and their plan is to not necessarily rebuild. Kyle Dubas hasn't used that term, but it's obvious that they are still trying to get younger. And I think that you're going to see more of that happening in the offseason. I think you're going to see some of the guys like Anthony Mantha kind of probably not re-sign. He's probably going to want a lot of money, and I'm sure that there is a team that's going to give him a lot of money despite him not showing up in the playoffs. And Pittsburgh does have some young talent currently right now in Wilkes-Barre Scranton in the AHL, but they haven't really shown that next step in the NHL yet. So I think Pittsburgh, while yes, they did make the playoffs, and yes, it should have been a year where they should have been tanking and gotten another high draft pick, I still think that they are in a pretty decent spot, because you do still have all of those draft picks that Kyle Dubas has picked up in the recent years. And you know, with how good that they've been able to draft, getting a guy like Ben Kindle at number 11, who nobody was expecting him to be playing NHL playoff games. I think that they have a really really solid piece in Ben Kindle right there. And guys on the back end, Harrison Brunick, I think, has the potential to be a very good NHL player. And in goaltender, Sergei Murashov. If you're not familiar with this guy, unbelievable talent, unbelievable guy. He showed glimpses of it in the NHL this year. He got his first NHL win over in Stockholm, Sweden, of all places. And it's crazy to think that at this time last year, he was playing in the playoffs for the Wheeling Nailers, which is obviously my hometown team. So yes, it does hurt, it does sting that the Penguins are out of the playoffs in round 1, and it especially hurts even more that it was the team from Eastern Pennsylvania to eliminate them. But I still do think that the future is still a little bit bright for the Penguins. I think if they are able to stick to this plan that they've got, I think they're going to be just fine. So I'm sorry if that was a little bit longer than any of the other series, but it's my team, so let me have that, okay? And this is where I want to hear from you guys. Let me know down below in the comment section, what second round series are you most excited to see? Are you excited for Philly, Carolina for some reason? Or are you more excited for the unbelievable round that should be Colorado versus Minnesota? And also let me know who you want to see the Anaheim Ducks play in round 2. Do you want to see them play Vegas? Do you want to see them play Utah? And let me know what your guys' thoughts were on round number 1 as well. Mainly focusing on Edmonton, Anaheim, Minnesota, Dallas, and Pittsburgh and Philly. So, as always, let me know your thoughts and opinions down below in the comment section. And while you're down there, swing by the description and click the Linktree link. That is the only link in the description for a reason. That is because it'll take you to all of the social media platforms for this channel. Currently, right now, we are only on Instagram and X, and I will say the Instagram page does get a little more tender love and care because that is how this entire page started in the first place. So if you do enjoy these videos and you're looking for some extra content, again, Linktree link in the description, it'll take you to wherever you want to go. So with all that said and finally done, that is going to do it for this video here. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hit the like button. If you really enjoyed it, hit the subscribe button. Again, both are free. Both really help out the channel a lot. Again, I do apologize if I sound a little bit disgusting in this video, or if the energy is a little bit down, or if I just look like a complete disaster all around. Sleep has not been very kind to me as of late, and I've been going through it this week, trust me. So I do apologize on that, but if you have made it to this point of the video, I want to say thank you very, very much for taking the time out of your busy day to watch these videos here because it genuinely does mean the world to me. And as always, stay tuned for more hockey and jersey content coming in the future. We'll see you next time.